On this week's episode, we give you a 2-year update on our feelings on mobility tools.
Yes, and we have many feelings on them, so stick around. Hello, and welcome to Rare with Flair,
the podcast where two 20-somethings with the same rare disease are living their best lives. I'm your host, Cassandra.
And I'm your host, Casey.
Cass,
it's good to be back. It's always good to record with you. It's always a fun little, it's like a therapy sesh sometimes.
Girl, right?
I feel like today's especially maybe.
I know. We're airing our thoughts and feels, okay?
But before we get into it, any life updates from you, my friend?
Yes.
You have some.
Last week, I was in Tampa for a bachelorette.
So fun.
It was, it was almost 2 weeks ago. What is time? What is the passage of time? Which was really fun. It was a great time. Also, it was my birthday last week, so that's fun.
Yes, I meant to say it. Yes, everyone wish Cass a happy birthday.
Woo! Thank you. Yes. It was fun. We had a good time, hung out with some friendos, and just enjoyed the weekend. So, what have you been up to, girl?
Well, you have had quite the eventful last week or two. I feel like I was actually trying to think of what I was going to talk about in this beginning part, before we started, and I was like, what have I done? I did do something fun. What am I talking about? I literally, I'm losing it. 2 weeks ago, I went on a trip with two of my best friends. We went to East Tennessee, Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge area, and we went to Dollywood one of the days, and it was so much fun.
So much fun.
You know what's so sad? I was going to tell you this, and now I didn't, but I'm going to tell you live on the pod. So for the month before my friends and I went, we kept joking, we're going to see Dolly Parton there. We were speaking it into existence. You know, we were we're going to see Dolly. She's going to be there. We're going to be best friends with her. She's going to invite us over to her house. It's going to be great. And we didn't see Dolly.
Unfortunately.
Dolly literally showed up at the park the next weekend.
Are you kidding me?
The weekend after us, she was there. And
girl.
I cannot even believe our luck, but it's bad. It's bad.
That sucks. Yeah. But, hey, you were this close.
I was. That makes it worse, though. That somehow makes it
I guess
so
you gotta go
worse.
Back now, though, so that you can try and meet her again.
Eventually, I hopefully will. And then also, I did buy a few new plants, I gotta say. I'm
ooh, I've got a plant update.
I know we just recently did this whole episode on plants, but I could literally talk about my plants forever. And I can't express to you how happy they make me. I can't express it.
Yeah, girl.
I literally, it's kind of sad. Sometimes I'm I want to get, I'll be out.
Not sad. Or maybe
no,
we're
it's
both
kind of sad. I'll be out in public. I'll be I want to get back home to my plants.
I miss my friends that are my plants.
What's your plant update?
So literally today, so you know how I was talking about how my outside plants are severely dying?
Yep, same. Yep, relatable.
Not really good at my outside plants. I just transplanted them because I had not had the time to transplant them into a proper container since I had gotten them, which honestly was April, but that's okay. So I finally moved the cute bulb plant that I got that is now scorched. I moved it into a big, long, rectangular box planter.
Oh.
So I'm hoping that those bulbs will propagate because they're not totally dead. The stalks are still green, so I know that they're still alive. And then I this other plant that has cute little flowers that I had gotten back in April, and ever since I had gotten it, it basically hated me because I didn't take good care of it. So now I finally transplanted that into my little pot that says I will survive. So I truly hope that that's a good omen.
Oh my gosh, I truly hope so. Our outdoor plants are not doing as well as our indoors, but we're learning. And that good for you, though. I'm glad you took that time to hopefully help them thrive and survive.
Hopefully. We shall see. But anyways.
I hope so.
You got some new plants, though.
I did. I got an anthurium.
Yay!
So, Butamus. I got a pothos that's like spotted. It's a different kind of pothos.
I've seen those. They're so pretty.
It's beautiful. The third one, my brain is missing on what the third one is called, but it's very soft. Like the leaves are like almost like furry. I need to look it up. But
floofy.
Yeah, I'll show you pics. But anyway, I wanted to support this young local girl that I have a friend of a friend with opened a plant shop, and I wanted to support her and support local, but also I just love plants, let's be real.
Yeah.
And it was just, so it was like a little, her mini little plant nursery she has, and it was so cute. So
That's so cool. That's so cool.
Yeah. Anyway, though.
Let's talk about our feelings.
Cass, I was telling Cass, so like we have, believe it or not, we've had this podcast for almost exactly 2 years now.
Guys, isn't that bonkers?
It's bonkers. And if anyone has been OG listeners, our second episode was about canes and guide dogs, like our mobility tools.
Or anyone that has like started recently listening and wanted to start at the very beginning, you may have already heard it.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I don't know, Cass, it was good, but I feel like it was more like informative about what these tools are, how we use them. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Listen, it was necessary context so we could talk about it in the way that we hope to talk about it today. So if you haven't heard that, definitely go back and listen to it so you have that context.
Especially if you're a sighted person and don't understand.
We may skip some of those explanatory steps at risk of doing a reprise of another episode.
Right. I think we just have, I was talking to Cass. I actually wanted to have this conversation with you, like privately. And then I was like, no, actually, I'm not even going to talk to you about this. We're going to record this conversation.
This is worth having on the pod.
This is like going back to our roots of our long FaceTimes back in like 2016.
Oh, girl.
When they should have been recorded, you know, like this is what this is. Like, I feel like this is going to be raw. We barely have any kind of notes or outline for this at all. Like, this is like,
we just have like, we're talking about canes and we're talking about Romana.
Like, literally, the longer this podcast goes on, the less we prepare for anything. Which is
you guys are getting raw and uncut, even though it's still edited.
Uncut, off the cuff. So, okay. The way this conversation has kind of started is Cass has been not begging me, but telling me for a while now to get a graphite cane instead of an aluminum cane.
So canes come in different materials. Like the white cane that we use to get tactile feedback from the ground. If you see a blind person waving around a long stick, that is a white cane. Sometimes they're not always all white. We might get to that, but like,
we're getting to that.
For years, like, they're mostly created by one singular company called Ambutech. They're based in Winnipeg, and they have aluminum canes, they have graphite canes, and then they also have fiberglass canes. Fiberglass and aluminum are quite heavy, but they're like more durable, and then graphite is like really, really lightweight. So I've been telling Case for a while, like, girl, why are you still using an aluminum cane? It's so freaking heavy. After like constant contact, which is a form of using a cane where you leave it on the ground and you just wave it back and forth in an arc shape, so then you are kind of feeling and fanning out the area in front of you before you step there. So if you're doing constant contact, you're constantly waving your arm back and forth. Your arm gets tired.
Yeah, it can hurt your wrist.
I'm like, girl, get you a lighter cane.
And also, even if your cane is folded up and you're carrying it around, it's like annoying to, have it heavy, and it can hurt your shoulder, it can hurt your wrist. And yeah, Ambutech is the place where we get our canes. I know some people have canes from the NFB as well. I think they give free canes, maybe. Possibly.
You can get one free cane every year from the National Federation of the Blind.
Okay, good to know. Yeah. She knows her stuff. See, Cass knows the deal.
Anyway, the NFB canes are not foldable. They're very lightweight, but they are rigid. So like they don't have segments that you can like fold them up so that it looks kind of like, I don't know, like a pair of drumsticks.
Right, and then there are like telescope canes.
Where you just extend them out like an antenna. And those have different purposes even. But the folding canes are probably some of the most common among the folks that we know, anyway.
Right. So I'm excited for the fiberglass one. And actually, Cass and I are going to a conference in a few weeks, and I have seen on my tracking that it's coming in the mail before the conference, so I can bring my fiberglass cane, but I'm excited about it.
So, okay, let's also, some other further context about how you shop for a cane if you're a blind person. Typically, you want your cane to be like up to your armpit in length from the floor to your armpit. You can get it a little bit longer up to like your chin if you walk really quickly. But just bear in mind it's going to be fairly long. But and then you can pick how many segments you want it to fold into. And like you can also pick the color of the handle, you can pick the color of the reflective tape on the outside, and you can pick the style of cane tip you want. So what size do you usually get your cane relative to your body?
So I got 48 inches, which is about, mine is to my underarm, to the top of my armpit is what I like to do. And I know you like yours a little taller for faster walking purposes.
I do, and actually my cane is like a little bit too tall because of the tip I have on it. The tip I have is like, it's like a roller ball. And the roller ball is it's like a couple inches tall, so it's actually like 60 inches. It's a really long cane.
But for context, Cass is taller than me, so don't be freaked out.
I am 5'9". I'm like 69
I am 5'1".
inches.
Yeah. Actually, technically, I'm 5.5 or 5 3/4 or something, but I just say 5'1".
We won't tell.
We won't tell. But yeah, and then I use a roller ball marshmallow tip, and so yeah, you can pick the colors. So for our handle, I use a pink handle. Cass has a green handle for her cane.
It's cute. They only come in like 4 colors, okay?
Yeah, and then so the common looking cane in the States, the USA, is like the white cane with the red bottom. And I say U.S. because I know in different places, like, that can mean deafblind and stuff with red on the cane. In the U.K., I believe they say that. I don't know. But anyway, so Cass gave me the idea to get the all-white cane with a pink at the bottom instead of red.
It's like hot pink. Like, you can't really tell.
Ish. Right. And then some people have a cane that's, like, completely one color. And, like, that's definitely being more, like, incognito about it. But I can't decide, like, parts of me, I see the pros and cons to both. Like, a part of me is like, it would be nice to kind of have this stick that nobody knows what it is. But then also you kind of want people to know what it is because that's the point, is you want people to know you're blind, is kind of the point of the matter.
My thing is that, like, people already do not understand why I have my regular colored white cane with me anyway, because, it goes back to the point of we don't look blind. So people are just like, why do you have that?
Yeah, but you've run into people who know what it is too, right? Or is that your most common response, is people don't know?
A lot of people don't know, and it's really surprising.
Okay.
So when I was on this bachelorette trip, I didn't take Romana. I took my white cane, and like, someone, like, legit asked me, like, why do you have that? I'm like, it's a cane. I'm legally blind. And it was like folded out. It was extended. It wasn't, sometimes it could look confusing if your cane is folded up into segments because it's not fully extended. You don't know what it is. I've gotten my cane mistaken for a lot thing before. Someone.
Oh, me too. I could name a list.
Nunchucks,
but wait,
selfie stick.
Oh, nunchucks. Yes. Pole vaulting, camera equipment.
Yep.
All the things. But wait. So okay, I want to talk about that. What you just said though, because I had a guy once say, "What are you using that for?" But he knew what it was. He knew it was a blind cane. He was asking me that because he thought I wasn't blind. He was like, "What are you using that for? If you can see," kind of thing. And then I said, I'm legally blind. And then I've told this story before. He said, oh, really? Or is that just what you tell people? So I'll never forget it. Clearly, it's been burned in my mind that he said that to me. But so I'm wondering if when people ask that, if they don't know what it is, or if they're kind of like, why do you need that? Or both. It could be both.
I honestly think a lot of the people I've come across lately just genuinely do not know what it is.
Well, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people don't. But Yeah.
They think it's like a golf club, girl.
It looks like one a little bit. And like, the handle of a cane is actually a golf club handle. It's the same handle for people who might not know that. Well, and that's unfortunate for us, though, because I feel like one of the benefits of using a cane is kind of to let people know that you can't see well. Like, that's what some people use ID canes, which are not very sturdy. They're very, very lightweight.
They're not really meant for like tactile
Yeah, they're
feedback.
not meant for feedback.
It's just kind of to hold. They're really tiny and skinny.
Yeah, they're just to hold to show people that you can't see. So yeah, if a lot of people don't know what the cane is, then that kind of is, pointless to even use that. But
right,
I don't know. I felt like in New York, a lot of people knew what it was, but I feel like there's more. It's because there's a lot more.
I think there's
people
more
in New York.
awareness there.
Yeah, and
true. Exposure, because, like, I don't know. It's wild. I will say it depends where you are in the world, though, because, so. White canes typically around the world are primarily white, if not all white. So when I was in Chile last November with my parents, I also did not take Romana with me, so I had my white cane, and nearly everybody knew what it was down there. It was kind of wild.
Wow.
So like people were extremely accommodating. Like they asked me if I needed help, which was like kind of appreciated because I've never been there before. And like they went out of their way, and it was obvious that it was because they knew that I was carrying a white cane because I was blind in some capacity. But like more often than not, people in the States, because I, can make some eye contact and, I don't know, it's not always apparent, and people don't always readily assume.
Right. And you also often wear glasses, which is another thing I wanted to get into, because if anybody has been following this podcast, I started wearing glasses a few months ago. I've been wearing glasses a while now. And it is a different experience, I think, a little bit to use glasses with a cane. And you know what? I'm changing my attitude about it, though, because at first I was nervous that wearing glasses would make people think I was like faking blindness. Like, why are you? It doesn't make. It's like an oxymoron for someone to be like using a cane and wearing glasses. It like doesn't make sense, right? But I'm changing my mind about this, because I'm like, actually, if I'm wearing glasses, maybe people won't assume that I'm totally blind, and they will actually treat me the way I am, which is partially blind. And they won't accuse me of faking blindness, because they'll see the glasses on me. So when I'm obviously seeing something, they will be like, oh, she can see a little. She has glasses and a cane. Like, I actually think it might help, because I think they just assume you're totally blind if you don't have glasses on.
Yeah, honestly, it's really hit or miss, because I've always worn glasses, and I always have glasses with my cane. It's weird because generally it's like people expect you to be wearing sunglasses, which is the typical blind trope of blind person with cane and sunglasses. So sometimes, like, when I have my cane with me, instead of swapping my glasses for my sunglasses, I will sometimes just walk around a store with my sunglasses so that people will assume. Plus, honestly, fluorescent lights are bright, so sometimes it'd be helpful. But that being said, it is very like hit or miss, just like it's hit or miss for people to understand even what the cane is in the first place. So it's hard for me to know, because I've never, sometimes I have contacts. It's hard for me to know what's what, though. Is it people don't understand what the cane is, or people don't understand me with the cane because I have glasses? So I'd be curious to hear your experiences too.
I think it's probably a little bit of both, but no, like, I'm actually kind of excited about it. I think maybe it will allow me to live my gray area, low vision life in an easier way than this totally blind or totally sighted life that I think people expect us to live. I think like it's very obvious if you have a cane and glasses that you can see a little but not much. Like, I'm hoping that's the vibe I give off, is like, she can see some but she's kind of blind. Like, that's the vibe we're trying to give. But I wanted to talk a little bit too. I feel like this is like my therapy session moment of the podcast.
Girl, don't worry. I'm about to go off about my guide dog, so it's fine.
This might be a long episode, and I don't even care. I think you guys probably like a long one every once in a while anyway. But so Okay. I'm kind of a broken record. I've said this before, but I'm just repeating myself so you all know what I'm talking about. I lived in New York for a few years, and I used my cane completely full time there, all the time. Never didn't have my cane. Came home, back to my, hometown. And I live in a suburb where I don't often use public transit, blah, blah, blah. So, like, I'm very much a part-time cane user at the moment. And I really go through, like, waves where, like, I'll be using my cane, like, a lot more certain months, and then I'll be using it a lot less certain months. So there's never a rhyme or reason or whatever. And like I said in the opening, I just went on a vacation with my friends. And we were walking around, like, downtown Gatlinburg, and I didn't bring my cane with me.
Girl, I don't know how you did that. I think I would have, like... Okay, sorry, go ahead.
No. No,
I'm not, like, judging you, but honestly, if I did that, I would have been anxious the entire time.
Yeah.
The entire
here's
time.
The deal. Cass and I don't want to speak for you too, because our vision is probably even a little bit different from each other's, but we have... I did not start cane training until my early 20s. So I have a lot of life experience just winging it, like I'm able to do it. Is it easy? No. Is it stressful? Yes, sometimes. And sometimes, though, having the cane is kind of cumbersome. Like I wish it could just appear and disappear and reappear. Because sometimes when I'm walking in downtown Gatlinburg and maybe I'm shopping and holding some things or doing all this stuff, it's just like annoying. It's kind of annoying. And also, like, I don't really love the public perception of it. And I hate to admit that because I feel like for years I've been really an advocate for the cane online. And I want to give people, like, I watched a lot of people before I started using my cane, and they gave me the confidence to use it. And I want to be that person for other people. Mm-hmm. Like, I want to give people the confidence. And, like, my confidence about the cane online is not fake. I'm not lying. Like, I love the cane. I'm an advocate for the cane, but it doesn't mean it's not hard for me too. Like, sometimes it's hard to use it, and I have more to say, but I want you to butt in and, like, speak on your thoughts.
It's funny because having gone on a trip with people that I don't really know recently, that's what a bachelorette is, with my cane, it was so strange because I feel like it's about that public perception piece, because you're, like, normal enough when you're just sitting around chatting, and then I feel like the moment the cane comes out, people get, like, patronizing and condescending, and I was like, you really don't need to do this to me. Like, like, you would be surprised and shocked and amazed at all the things I do in my daily life, and it's just because I have this symbol that is also helping me, not trip over things. And now you're suddenly, like, trying to be over helpful. Like, stop. Don't do that.
That's going to be the Instagram soundbite right there. No. For real, Cass. For real, though. I wish it wasn't such a thing. Why is it a thing? Like, and here's the thing. I also feel like when I take it out, especially with people I don't know very well, it feels so loud in my own ears. Like, I'm like, oh,
it's
God.
Like,
it's so loud.
Scrape the ground.
And, it takes up a lot of space, too. So then you feel like you're taking up the sidewalk, and it's like this, like,
yeah,
and
you want to walk next to people, but it's weird.
Yeah.
Or you, like, flat tiring? You, like, flat tire someone with your cane. Like, you just, like, hit the back of their knees all the time. Their ankles.
Or their ankle.
Just like, I'm so sorry.
Or it's like, even the way, so, like, say you're with some friends, old or new, they can be friends you know well or don't. And then it's like the way, it's also when you're with your friends, the way strangers act toward you all. That's also weird, because it's like, you don't want to, like, cause attention to your group or bring attention to your group either. Like, and then you feel like, you're making other people in the group uncomfortable, which I know this is anxiety, like, talking.
No, girl, I same though. I cannot comprehend the amount of times and the way that people stare at me and the people that I'm with while this is all going on. And like, the thing is, though, I would, me in my journey, because I've been cane trained since I was like 16, as opposed to Case. So like, I would vastly rather have my cane and be made to feel a little awkward, because the amount of mental pressure and anxiety that I feel when I'm walking in an unfamiliar place and it's bright without my cane is unreal. And I already feel totally. A lot of mental pressure with like people that I don't know well. I don't want to be the one to get in their way. I feel the need to overcompensate and show that like I have this massive chip on my shoulder. I feel like this is literally my therapy. Okay, right. I don't, the moment that you fall behind, in my mind, they're like immediately going to blame your disability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's with anything, with a job,
right?
It's so many things,
and that's why we it feels like we have to compensate that much harder. And
we do.
Like all the disabled people say, yeah, but anyway, like
it's true.
I would rather have that than like be just like squinting and in pain and being left behind, and then nobody knows why, and then you look dumb or aloof, or like I would much rather look disabled than to feel stressed. And that's not to say like Case made a terrible decision with her life, but like I could never.
No, honestly, normally with a trip like that, I absolutely would take it. Like, I don't know what I was thinking. Like, I love my cane, and so I don't want anyone listening to be like, Casey inspired me to use the cane, and now she's not a cane user. Like, I literally just ordered my graphite cane, and I'm so excited to get it in the mail. Like, I love it, and I agree. It's one of those things where they're, like, let's say I'm out all day somewhere. There are times when I have it, there are times I wish I didn't have it, and when I don't have it, there are times I wish I did. And that's why I wish I could, like, you know, bring it out. Okay, nobody's going to get this unless they watch Steven Universe, but Cass, you know Pearl? Okay, there's this character
when she
named,
pulls
named
the
Pearl.
spear out of her head.
She has this, like, weapon, and it's a spear, and she could just, like, pull it out of her forehead at any moment. That's what I wish my cane would do.
That's amazing. Actually, speaking of, that's so perfect, because I made a Pearl cosplay a few years ago, and the spear is made from an old NFB cane.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yes, it is.
Okay, well, here's my question for you. So Cass and I primarily really need the cane outside because there's steps and it's sunny and it's a crazy place. But, like, when you go inside places, do you primarily fold it up or just leave it out?
So what I do is, it depends on what I'm trying to do. I will do what's called diagonal technique. So I will I will walk with my cane in front of me, held diagonally, so it will still hit something that's in front of my body.
But you're not swinging it around.
But I'm not necessarily swinging it, unless it's like a confusing layout, like a hotel, or like it's harder for me to be able to actually see with my eyes where I'm going. I honestly, the diagonal technique is typically what I default to.
And then I have another question for you. I'm going to give you a scenario. Okay? Like, we've talked about this before, but I feel like I spent my whole life acting sighted, so I appear way more sighted than I am because I'm a good actor, and I've like coped
She's
that way.
She's a professionally trained actor.
I don't even mean actor in that way.
I know what you mean.
Like, I think we're all good at faking it. But anyway, like, let's say, and this is where my anxiety gets to me, and I just don't need to care what people think. Let's say you're at a store and you bought some stuff and you're checking out and, like, you have your cane with you. Do you feel weird, like giving and taking your card from the person, like, easily, or like finding the swiping thing, like and sometimes
this is literally our passing episode all over again. But
do you feel uncomfortable being a little too good at that stuff?
A little bit, honestly, because
this is where my brain goes. Okay.
Well, and like, that's the thing, though, and without those tools, or sometimes even, so I usually have Romana, but if I'm at a counter, people don't always see her under the counter, because she's usually, like, the counter height or lower.
That's true.
And so people don't always know, and, like, I'm holding her leash, But people don't always know. They might think it's like a purse strap or something else. So
Yeah,
it's
that's true.
not until like they're like, can you confirm this information on the card reader? And then it's that moment. I'm like, I brace myself for it every single time. I practically put my face on top of it. So then they're like, oh.
No, like,
Okay.
but I feel like when I don't have my cane with me, I'm doing that. Like, I'm making mistakes, or I can't find the card reader, or I can't do it. But then I feel like when I have my cane with me, I'm like way too good at it all, and like I'm like really like I feel like I'm so in between that like sometimes I'm really good at things and really good at passing, and then sometimes it's like showing that I'm blind.
It's and it's weird because it's
good.
sometimes confusing for it. Like, it's confusing for so many people in our lives until they can finally like know us and know the circumstances in which we'll like discretionarily use tools or have a harder time doing something.
Yeah, I know, and that's the same for strangers too with us, because they're
It's-
like, what?
Yeah, like, what's going on here? How do I best help you in the scenario that you're currently in? It's weird. I mean, I mean, straight up though, like sometimes I just feel like I guessed correctly because
Yeah.
like yesterday I was trying to pay with my card and there was like one of those plexiglass dividers and I was like,
Ugh.
well, I think this is where the opening is, and I in good faith stuck my hand out and I was like, oh, thank God I didn't smack the glass.
That's what I'm saying though. Like, I hope I'm making sense to people listening. I feel like I'm not making sense, but I feel like sometimes I'm afraid to look two-sided. I know we've talked about this before, but sometimes my faking skills are so good that I'm a little too good and people are gonna be like, what? But then there are other times where I look like an alien new to Earth where I don't understand anything and I'm missing every social cue. Like, I was missing a social cue literally at Dollywood recently. Like, they were trying to get me to go to a different paying booth or whatever, and I like couldn't see it. But also I saw a girl, I didn't see her. My friend pointed out there was a girl with a cane at Dollywood.
Aw.
And I just like feel such a kinship. I want to go up and say something, but I never do. But I like feel such a kinship to those people. But I will say theme parks are very flat. It was no steps at theme parks, which is the good news.
That's true,
I mean,
but I always think I'm gonna trip over something in a theme park. I still take my cane with me. 'Cause
I should
feel like
have.
I'm gonna die.
Listen, I should have. And I think I'm going to try to use it more. But okay, I have this friend who I've been hanging out with more recently who's like a newer kind of acquaintance or a newer friend. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I've never used my cane with this friend. And then I just pull it out. I mean, I don't really care enough to care about that, but it's just weird. Like, it's just kind of weird to like not use it and then use it. And I don't know.
It's so confusing. Because like sometimes when I get up from a table, when I'm eating with someone, and if I've already gone to the bathroom like one time, or sometimes I can guess my way to the bathroom because usually most restaurants are laid out in similar ways, I will, like, for the sake of simplicity, I will leave Romana at the table with whomever I'm with, and I will just go find the bathroom. And people are like, wait, what?
Oh yeah, I do this on airplanes. On airplanes, I'll have my cane with me, and they'll help me to the seat, and then I get up to go to the bathroom. And they've said stuff before. They've been like, "Oh, like you found the bathroom."
I get that at work all the time because like I know where the bathroom is in my office. So sometimes like there's no really need for like Romana to guide me to the bathroom because I've got the layout memorized. So I get up.
Yeah.
And I go to the bathroom, and then, like, or sometimes I'll heat up my food in the microwave and go back to my desk. People are like, oh, you don't have your dog today? And I'm like, yeah, I do. Of course I do.
Yeah.
And they're, like, so confused. They're like, why don't you have her now?
And this is kind of the difference between, totally blind and not. And I think, like, I don't wish I had less vision. I'm not saying that. But I think in these situations, it would be almost easier to just rely on the tool and not rely on my eyes so much, because then people wouldn't be so confused. But I guess, like, the moral of the story is, like, we can't care what people think.
We just have to, like, do what's best for us. And frankly, sometimes we probably should be better at using our tools. Sometimes I feel like I'm overconfident in what my eyes can really do.
Yes.
Like, literally on Saturday, I went to go see a movie, and they didn't. I always get the audio description headphones. Like, I'm so used to watching pretty much anything I possibly can with audio description. Yeah. And so is like the rest of my family. Literally, my dad will like have it on without me in the room because he's like, gosh. I get so much out of it.
Oh my gosh, Stranger Things is so needed. Oh my gosh.
Yes, it's
you
so
have
dark.
no idea. I could not watch that. No, and not only is it dark, there's just so much going on.
And there's so much silence in some parts, and then it's kind of a thriller, so there's like a jump scare, and you're like, what?
The things it tells me, I'm like, there's no way I would have ever known. And it does. Yeah. You do get way more out of it. You're like, wow, I would have never ever known that.
I know. So I saw, and it was like a small kind of local theater, and I asked them, and they said, oh, we don't have the audio description. And I was like, are you, whatever, fine, it's fine. So I still watched it. It was the second Top Gun. It was really good. I really liked it, and I sat up close to the screen, but like, I told my mom later, I was like, it was really great. And then later I told her I didn't see it with audio description. She was like, you missed so much of the movie. I'm absolutely positive. And I'm sure you did. And I felt like I got so much out of it already.
Well, but and you do. Like, you can still I fully believe like a partially sighted person can still thoroughly enjoy a movie and thoroughly understand the entire plot and still miss so many visual things. Like, it's both can be true at once.
Yeah.
Like,
it's wild, but like I don't know. I felt overconfident. I was like, yeah, I could still sort of see it.
No, because that's what happens when I go to a movie once without audio description and then watch it again with audio. Like, I think to myself, like, I didn't miss anything, and then I'm like, I missed so much. You've got to figure out a way to watch it eventually with it. So
I know when it finally comes out on some streaming platform and they have the audio description track, I am absolutely going to rewatch it. I do that. It's
such an interesting science experiment to do that. It's so interesting. But anyway, let's get into guide dogs.
Okay.
Give me your updates, how you're feeling, about Romana, how Romana's doing, like what's going on with the guide dog world.
So it's hard because the past few years in our working relationship have been very strange. As the past few years have been really strange for most people, I'm absolutely sure. So in 2019, like in the end of 2019 and early 2020, I had very recently graduated from college, and I was starting to work my first job, and I had an apartment that was within walking distance to my job. And so then Romana and I would walk to work pretty much every day. I sort of also worked from home then, even before the pandemic started, and pretty much everyone worked from home then. But, you know, that was part of our regular routine. And before that, I was an undergrad at Ohio State with its own zip code. And I was also really active outside of school and walking to class. Like, we walked a lot together. And then since 2020, that's like really sharply dropped off. And last year I was able to walk a lot more because I moved to a place that was more accessible in the beginning of 2021. They had a lot of sidewalks. We would, Romana and I would walk a few times a week down to where like a lot of the local shops are, and that was starting to get really good. We went on some trips. She went on trips with me. I've mentioned a couple of trips that she wasn't with me on because I don't take her internationally because it's just such a hassle to have a guide dog internationally. Laws are different all around the world, and then like. But, you know, anything domestic, pretty much she would come with me, and she still works really well. And then in February, at the end of this February of 2022, I was injured, and I couldn't walk for a while, like for like a month, at least a month, and like we did not work pretty much for an entire month. Then after that, it's been little by little, and I've been doing a lot of like physical therapy, like post my injuries, and And that's been getting better, but it wasn't until last Friday that we finally went on a walk the way that we used to 4 months after my injury. And so
Wow, yeah.
it's been really hard to get a lot of work with her, which kind of sucks. I feel like I want to give her more work to do, but also my body is slow at recovering. I mean, it's not slow for body, but it's slower than I wish it would be, is rather what I should say.
Yeah, right.
And like, the thing that's making me sad is that Romana's getting older, and she's doing really well. I took her to the vet in February of this year, and the vet said she was like looking super healthy, like really optimal for her age. But Romana will soon be, I just blanked out, 8. And guide dogs typically work until, so you usually get a guide dog when they're about 2, and they work for about 8 to 10 years. So that's actually sneaking up. I will have had her for 6 years in just a couple months. And
yeah. And that just does, and like, it doesn't even sound that long. It's like crazy how little time you almost get, because like 6 years, it's like doesn't even sound long to me.
But we've done so much.
I know. I mean,
you've
basically lived a whole life, like in 6 years at the same time, because like you had her in college,
right?
Like, you've lived in so many different apartments and places with her.
Yeah.
So, and like you have lived a lot of life in those 6 years.
Right. And so, today she worked a bit. We walked in like a local metro park, and it was really beautiful, and she worked fairly well for that too. But man, like, I feel like the time with her is starting to slip away, and it's making me sad.
Yeah.
And of course I can't dwell on that. I can't live in that. Obviously, I have her now.
And she is very healthy, so hopefully
she's very healthy. So I'm going to,
it does go longer.
Exactly. And I'm trying to take advantage of the time I have while I've got her. But that's sort of where it's been at for like the past few months and the past couple of years, but she's still, she's still her same happy self, and I'm like happy to have her. But oh, girl, let me tell you about a really ridiculous guide dog encounter. So, last Saturday I was out getting dinner with my boyfriend. We were just sitting there, clearly on a date, and I kid you not, 5 individual separate people in the span of an hour came up to me to talk to me about my guide dog, and it's like,
yeah,
can you go?
Yeah.
It was painful. It was bad. So like, it's not usually that intense. A lot of the times maybe you'll get 1 or 2 people that comment or say something. And sometimes you get spoiled, like you get spoiled with like thinking you can see better than you actually can. Sometimes you go to several places and no one says anything, or they leave you alone generally, even if they're staring at you.
Yeah.
But like, the woman in the booth behind me turned around to talk to me about my guide dog. It was unreal.
I feel like that's another pros and cons situation. I feel like with the guide dog, you get a lot more attention, which a lot of the times is pretty annoying because you're trying to just live your life. But at the same time, it's like positive attention. Whereas I feel like with the cane, people kind of like, they like run away from you almost, like it's almost like an avoidance, like it's a negative thing almost, or like they see you as more disabled, or like it's just, I don't know, like
I would honestly, so sometimes, I mean, and I sort of wish Romana would repel people just because
no, I don't blame you at all
it's
for that.
Such an invasion, and then people ask the same questions over and over, and I'm in the middle of something. I don't know. Oh, yeah. Okay, so you've seen the Fry Life, right?
Oh, I'm obsessed.
Okay.
This is a YouTube couple.
So it's this YouTube couple who she has cystic fibrosis, and he is not disabled. But back in like 2018, when I watched them a bit more, they had a service dog named Ollie, and I remember watching a video of theirs. They're like daily vloggers, and they were like in the hospital, and clearly Mary is like recording, like talking to a camera, and someone like completely interrupts her multiple times to ask her questions about her dog. Like, she's actively talking.
I'm not surprised even slightly by that at all.
People have no boundaries, girl.
No. And when I was saying the pros and cons, I wasn't saying that one is better than the other. I think that would be very annoying to have. So I wasn't trying to say like the guide dog is better than the cane. Like,
I know you're not. It's just like it depends on what you define as negative and positive attention.
Well, yeah, and even positive attention can be annoying. Any attention is annoying. Like. I do believe that probably the guide dog is a little more of a like people see a dog more positively because they like a lot of people like dogs. Now, some people hate dogs, and that's a whole other.
Until you tell them that they cannot touch it, and then they get upset.
Yeah, exactly, and then they're upset. But I feel like when they see a cane, they just see like a cold, sterile, disabled thing. Like,
and then they just kind of like shrivel and die, and they pull their children out of the way, and
they pull their kids. They literally yank their kids out of the way. But also, like, I think it's fun that we have colored canes because that makes it a little more sassy. And like, I think that's why I want my cane to be pink, the handle and everything, because I'm like, I want it to be fun. I don't want it to be this, and no offense to anyone who doesn't have a colored cane, but this is just my prerogative. Like, I want it to be like, not this like sterile thing. I want it to be like, part of showing part of my personality, like you would with fashion or something like that. Like, I don't know. They might not take it as seriously, though, with that, but that's a whole other thing.
Honestly, at that rate, if it's most, I don't know. There's only so much we can do, okay?
And do you think, like, I know I've asked you this before, but I'm just asking for the pod and everything. Do you think, like, and I know things can always change, but do you think, like, you are, like, guide dog user for life? Like, I'm a guide dog person. Like, that's your preference?
I don't know. I've always said that it would depend, like, especially when it would come to then getting a successor dog for the eventual time that Romana does retire. I'm very used to having a guide dog after 6 years. So it would probably work, but it would depend on my lifestyle is the answer that I would always give. Because I want to make sure that my guide gets plenty of work, which is why I feel a little partially guilty, even though it's not really my fault that Romana hasn't gotten a lot of work lately.
Right.
But at the same time, she still, she still has her role. I find myself, when I have my cane, I do really miss having my guide dog. Just because there's a level of fluidity in walking that with the cane is sorely missed. And
definitely.
And I just feel like she does such a better job than I could with my cane, and she really is just such an amazing guide dog. Finally getting to work her on Friday, like, she still felt great. And so I like I really do see the advantage. I miss having her when I don't have her.
I think overall, I've heard from everyone that, like, and it's everybody's different opinion, but, like, overall, I think they guide you better than a cane. Like, and that's just the truth, And
there are times where
it is about your lifestyle.
Right. There are times where, like, she would be cumbersome. I didn't take her on this bachelorette trip because we were going to be, like, doing a lot of different activities that were going to be very intense. And I felt that Romana would probably feel like she was in the way.
She's a living thing, so you always have to, like, protect her and take care of her. You're taking care of her as much as she's taking care of you.
And, like, I felt that I had, like, so many needs of my own because I'm also chronically ill. I also have, like, an ileostomy. that I, like, having her, and I remember thinking while I was on that trip, specifically that trip, I'm glad I don't have her, because I feel like we would have been stressed together about getting all of our collective needs met. That would have been very, very difficult to do, if that makes any sense at all. But, like,
that makes complete sense to me.
But, like, I'm so happy to have her back, and I'm very excited to be able to take her on upcoming trips, like the conference that we're going to here soon in July. But there's so many times that I will have to leave her, and, you know, if I'm going out, I'm gonna not take her with me, because she's gonna be in the way, and she's gonna feel it.
You mean at the conference or just in general in life?
Like going out, like at night with friends.
Oh,
I'll have to leave her just because it would be too much for both of us. And you know, in that case, it's not a whole lot of walking, and I could depend on someone else to help me out. But still, like,
or you could bring your cane too.
And I can bring my cane. But all that to say, yeah, I would probably continue to use a guide dog as long as, like, nothing serious prevented me from doing so.
Well, you know, guide dogs don't stab you in the stomach. I bruise myself on my stomach sometimes. And then also, like, do you ever, since you do have some sight, do you ever find yourself looking for the crack and trying to avoid it? So, like, and that almost, like, I'm literally looking, and then I'm like, that is defeating the purpose of this cane, because why am I looking at the ground? I need to look up. Like, that's the whole point.
I know.
Do you find yourself doing that, though? Like, trying not to hit the crack?
It's still a habit, because we, in our lives, have walked a lot without a cane, and then just are used to looking at the ground, I guess.
Well, you have the bigger ball, though. Tip, does that get stuck very often?
It's so big that it doesn't always get stuck in the same way that the smaller tips do.
Maybe but it rolls. Need that tip. Yeah, so does mine. I get the roller marshmallow one.
Yeah.
Mine rolls, too.
So, like, Casey's is kind of cylindrical shape, and it rolls, and mine is, like,
it's a marshmallow
literally a sphere.
Yeah, mine looks like a marshmallow. Hers looks like a ball. And yeah, I think maybe I never have gotten the bigger ball because I thought it would add weight to it, and that was my fear.
It is heavy.
It's heavy.
So, but you know, I don't mind it personally, but the marshmallow I think is generally like the best of both worlds, but I do get it stuck a lot more often than the big ball.
Ugh, hate that. But we have. It's not really a game. But
what are you into lately?
Lately, music edition.
Yeah.
So we were like, what do we do for this game? That was a mess. But we were like, we could do like a little like music song of the week kind of segment about music. I mean, we always have stuff to say about music. Literally, we never can tire of talking about music.
We really cannot.
Ever. We really cannot. So, who wants to go first?
You can go first.
So, Florence and the Machine and Regina Spektor, I love both of them, both recently released new albums. And they are both pretty good. Neither of them, I feel bad to say that neither of them like knocked my socks off completely. Like I feel like I need to sit with them more, but also I kind of, you know, sometimes you enjoy your artist's older stuff more than their newer stuff, and that's not a bad thing. There definitely were some songs on the Regina one that really did draw me in that I liked. It was a little different. You know, she's always been kind of different and odd, but it was a little too odd at some points. I was like, oh, okay, this is different. But I liked that, and you know what else? This is a funny one. Have you heard you're not on TikTok, but like, have you heard online, like all those sea shanties are getting a new breath of life? I'm so into that. It's not even funny. And I've been listening to my sea shanty medleys. And
I love that.
And I've been living for that. So yeah, I'm always listening to something. And I'm going to even look at my recent playlist to see if I've added anything. But while I do that, you need to go.
Okay. Okay. So, let's see. Ooh, I could say so many things. I've had a lot of new music drop from artists that I track this year. So much so that I have an entire playlist of just new stuff that came out this year. And it's not all the stuff. It is just most of the stuff. And it's 3 hours long at this point because there's just so much great stuff that has come out this year. So I've been digging a ton of that. Quick hits. Let's see. Two Door Cinema Club put out a single that is a bop. Dayglow put out a single last week. Really great. Happy Fits dropping an album later. And then Camp, they're like what CAAMP is how they're spelled, but like they're like Columbus's favorite folk group because every time they come, they're from here, but they come to Columbus and they just sell out.
So my brother-in-law has been talking to me all about the new Camp album coming out.
It's beautiful! It's beautiful!
He was talking to me about the Camp album, and I was like, yeah, even though I didn't really know.
It's beautiful. So I love the artwork. The artwork was what, like, honestly sold me onto the record. It's called Lavender Days, and I love like the way that they describe it. And it's you know, it's not your glory days, and it's not your worst days. It's the in between days, the lavender days. Love and it. I like pre-ordered it on vinyl, and it's a really great folk album.
I love folk, so I'm gonna. I feel
like you might dig it, honestly.
If it's folk, I probably will. Honestly, like I love folk.
So highly recommend. And that's what I've been digging.
Heck yeah. No, that's really funny because you had talked to me about it, but then I forgot, and then my brother-in-law talked about it to me like 2 days ago. So that's really funny.
That's nice.
But yeah, so that's the music we've been into lately. And I'm really hoping Paramore drops an album because they said they would, and then I haven't heard a word, and I'm stressed because they said 2022 is the year.
Ooh.
And now I haven't heard anything. And we're already almost halfway through the year, okay? Like, let's not play around.
Oh, my goodness.
So anyway, thanks for listening, everyone.
I'm, like, having a crisis. We're almost halfway through the year.
Yeah, that's also another crisis point to be had. But anyway, wait. What? Wait, hold on. Is today the anniversary of when we started talking about the podcast for the first time? June 28th?
Oh, girl, I think it might be.
Girl, I think 2 years ago today, we said, hey, let's start a podcast.
And then we laughed about it, and then we're like, wait, but really?
Wait, but really? So anyway, so sorry everybody for this very chaotic ending to this episode. If you've made it this far, thank you. We love you.
We love you.
We love you. And we'll see you
next
in 2 weeks.
Time.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.